Good afternoon and welcome to the Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. I'm Daryl Baskin of the Baskin Real Estate Specialists at eXp Realty, joined in studio today by
Sabrina Shaw with eXp Realty. Sabrina Shaw with eXp Realty. My mic was off.
And Pamela Wright with eXp Realty, Baskin Specialist.
I can't hear anything, by the way, in my headset, so I'm guessing we're okay, but if there's some
Are you plugged in?
ability, who knows?
He's never plugged in.
There's so many plugs
Things
right
running
here.
around
Is
here.
he
Yeah.
ever plugged in?
Not totally.
Here, look at that. Look at that. I know what I need. I can fix it. Mark is here. Mark is here to make my life better.
Oh, and if you're on Facebook Live, you can actually see what's going on right now because he's pouring the mug out. I mean, you can get some behind the scenes action.
Yeah, it is total chaos. Yeah, this is the, here, look, and there's a knot. That is going to drive me nuts through the entire show. Cords and knots, that's a problem.
Can that be your radio show topic? I don't think so.
We go through the entire week, and every time we have a phone conversation, it goes like this. That's a great radio topic. But it really is. I mean, we're talking to clients every single day about their dilemmas, whatever their goals are, their challenges. And we have a couple of those for you today. One is multi-generational housing. Is that right?
Yes, that is right.
And what's the other one?
Should you sell your home first before you sell your old home before you buy your new home?
And I am going to talk about why you shouldn't like your realtor. I just made that
Well, that's
up.
easy for you, right?
That's why my business is so good. So,
Well, you're right. Every time we resolve a problem, which is happening every week, we say, oh, that'd make a good radio show. So you're right.
well, we have a list that's endless, and we're going to share a couple of those with you today. You can find us live on Facebook, facebook.com, of course.
Or-
Daryl Baskin and the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. But first, as we always do, we will open with our community spotlight, and that is what? We didn't have anybody scheduled. By the way, if you're a nonprofit, and especially if you've been on the program before, we've sent out an invitation for you to reschedule for this year. I usually do that about 6 to 12 months at a time, and we have a few openings left. This obviously was one of them, and you are invited to come share what you do in the Tulsa community and share it with others here on Tulsa's leading talk radio station, and we'll get you out to about 10,000 listeners who deserve to know, need to know. You deserve to have your story heard, and that's one of the things that our sponsors help us do each week. Speaking of sponsors, TTCU Federal Credit Union, Integrity Title and Abstract, Window World of Tulsa, and the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. I want to do, guess?
I have no idea.
CASA.
Wait,
I'm just talking about CASA.
junior
School's
achievement?
out. We'll say junior achievement for later in the year when it's getting close to school to start again.
Okay, let's
So,
talk about CASA.
Today it's CASA,
Mhm.
court-appointed special advocates who speak for neglected and abused children in court. And these are children who get taken in by the system. And I often refer back to reading the newspaper and you hear this bad story and something happened to children or whatever, and you're like, well, how did that happen? Well, the system can only provide a certain amount of protection. And through this process, judges have to make decisions, very critical decisions for the future of these children. And someone has to speak up for this child in the court system. Well, they have an attorney.
Daryl, tell us a story. Do you have a story of this actually happening to you? Have you been an advocate?
I am not personally an advocate.
I know you're on the board.
I'm on the board. Let me tell you why I'm not personally an advocate, because people often assume that I am. I've had 20 foster children, and when you're a foster parent, you can't be an advocate. So with 20
Because you
foster
have to
kids,
be unbiased. You have to be someone who's not
there
really...
can't be a conflict of interest
Right.
that creates a conflict of interest. And yet I want to say this, and I think there's so much I never talk about because it may involve even my own children. My own children, who are 7 are adopted, are children who have, in several cases, been represented by CASAs. And my firsthand knowledge of what takes place, both on the great side of it and the bad side of it, is so so telling of the value of what a CASA does. When just a normal person who's had training to understand and speak to these professionals, the individuals. Let me list some of these off. The judge, the attorney, the caseworker, the teacher, the parents, the family members, and guess what? The children themselves. All of these people can actually be changing throughout the process. The only person who's consistent sometimes through in the system with the child is often the CASA. It's the only person that's there consistent through the entire thing. The caseworker may change. The parents may or may not have their rights retained. You may be speaking up saying, these are the facts that I have that I've been able to gather, because many of the other people, remember, the caseworker, all well-meaning, they just have a checklist they have to go through. This is what the state requires us to do. They don't necessarily have time to develop a bond.
Well, they're very overwhelmed because they're very understaffed. The state doesn't pay for just.
And the attorney's got their deadlines and the papers that need to be filed, and none of this other stuff can happen if the attorney's not doing their job. But no one's there really to be the friend of the child. The teacher's got multiple students to take care of, and they're just seeing the symptoms of something and say, hey, something's going on here.
But one thing you need to mention about CASA is that you have different ways of volunteering. You can be that spokesperson for the child, but if you feel like you can't handle that kind of responsibility, you can also go in and volunteer as a speaker who talks about CASA, who helps educate people. And again, you get the training. You don't have to be already educated. So there's a couple different ways of volunteering.
You're not on your own. You're not on your own. And by the way, here's my last, this will seal the deal. First of all, you can find a lunch and learn. Go to tulsacasa.org. Tulsacasa, C-A-S-A.org. But does just the thought of this speaking in court, does that intimidate you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, that's a lot of pressure on somebody for a child's life.
Now, imagine being a child.
Yes.
You have no clue what's going on. You can't speak for yourself. And here we are as adults thinking, that's a lot of pressure. There's a lot at stake. You know something? That makes this one of the most valuable organizations on the planet, because you're affecting the life of someone, impacting the life of someone in a positive way who cannot speak for themselves. And that's what CASA is about. TulsaCasa.org. I'm Daryl Baskin. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. Find us on Facebook. We're streaming live. And we're going to come back with why you shouldn't like your realtor, all about multi-generational housing, and
buying your new home. Should you buy it before you sell your old home, or sell your old home?
I'm going to throw some stats in there, and I'm also going to tell you about the tax sale coming up with the the treasurer. Yeah, the treasurer's office.
Well,
I got to get my
the
stuff
treasurer's
together.
office next week or Thursday.
That's what the market experts do. The real estate market experts at eXp Realty. Imagine that, learning everything they can
That's the best
to
part
do a
of my
better
week.
job for you.
Yeah, I love market experts.
Hey, we've got to take a break.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go away. We'll come back.
Bye. We'll go away. Bye.
We'll be back.
Look at our
Oh, there's a dollar.
Oh, that's cute. Fun. Yes, that's very fun.
Okay. You running that? Is that what you can do?
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
She designed the dress, but can she budget for her future?
I'm not ready yet, but I want to be.
Help her get 100% ready.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
From Window World of Tidewater,
we're the Reeds, and for nearly 2 decades
and a few generations,
we've been transforming your houses to dream homes right here in Hampton Roads. Join us for a seamless remodeling experience.
Call for a free estimate.
It's a free report for home sellers to help you decide the best real estate agent for your property. Start asking the questions. You'll start to have a better understanding of who that person is, how they run their business, what they can do for you. And you'll find the professionals who really stand out from the crowd. It's a free batch out there. 20 questions for homesellers.com. That's 20 questions for homesellers.com.
Yeah, he's doing a
no
commercial
cost, no
right
obligation.
now.
Get in the driver's seat. Be a home seller who's in the know, who's making the right decisions for you. 20 questions for home sellers.
Is it showing him while he talks?
Stay informed with Tulsa's news leader.
Oh, now it's showing Daryl.
Here, let me show you something. Wait about 15 seconds.
Okay.
In the car, at work,
Who are you starting with?
This is where Tulsa turns
I don't
first
know.
for breaking news.
You never know. You said it's not that second.
I forget your topics.
Huh?
Want to address thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com. Multi-generational housing.
Is that what we're starting with?
That is what we're starting with. What?
What about some homes?
Oh, I've got to pull them up first.
Okay. All right. Do you guys think with multi-generational housing, do you think that there's any benefits? I mean, we know that you want to, that some people want to be with their parents because they're elderly. But, you know, are there other reasons for it?
Well, one thing, if you bring an older person in the house, I think it really benefits your kids because it gives them a chance to really know their grandparents. And I know there's statistics out there that say kids who are around their grandparents do a lot better in life. So that's one thing. And hey, you know, you get free babysitters sometimes, so that helps the parents too.
You've got this figured out.
Hey, I'm telling you. And if you have kids going off to college, maybe you have this place for them to stay where they have a little separation, but they'll got their own place, and it saves you money from renting them a dorm or something. So there's two big reasons.
Yes, you just nailed it because there is research stating that it is good for a family, and children who are close to their grandparents have fewer emotional and behavioral problems and are better able to handle traumatic events. That was done by the University of Oxford.
I like this. My kids, because my mom lives in the pool house in the back, so it's a very small separate building. We sometimes refer to it as Grandma's hut, and it is, it's really nice. I said, have you given Grandma a hug? Get out there and I want to go ride my bike. Have you given Grandma a hug? Go out there and give her a. Okay, well, it's not like punishment, but you know, something that kind of stuff. And the free babysitter is awesome, because she can look right out and say, all the kids, I count heads. And I know they're swimming, but I'm counting the right number of heads.
Right.
Yes.
Well, my mother, I live with my mother. She's 92, and she still drives. She still takes care of herself, but she's very, very hard of hearing. So she'll be heating water for tea, and it's blaring, blaring. Like, Mom, your tea's ready. And I mean, 2 or 3 times I'm coming in and she forgot to turn off the oven. Mm-hmm. So even though she really takes care of herself, I don't have to babysit her or take care of her. It's really a good thing I'm there. Plus, just the company. The company. So I enjoy it, you know, most of the time. Like any roommate.
Yeah, so the study I was reading said that people interested in that has increased to 41%. And they said that actually 1 in 5 people live in a multi-generational household.
Really? That is a lot. Mm-hmm. Well, people are living longer. I mean, my dad lived to be 90. And my mom's 92 and still healthy, and it's people are living longer, not just my family, but other people too.
So talk about what's the solution? Great,
So
people want it. How do you find them?
Okay, so it's a great time to buy because we have, these big houses that can accommodate, multi-generational families. So like we have, I know between us, we have a lot on the market, that would definitely handle that. We've got the home with a pool house. We have homes
107th.
107th, yes.
And the one on Wynwood Lane in Broken Arrow.
But okay, and then we've got the one on 97th, which has 2 masters.
Right.
We have one on Harvard Place, which has what we would consider 2 masters because there is an attached bathroom to an upstairs and a downstairs. What features make a house ideal from clients that you're showing houses to? What features are they thinking about that make a house ideal for multi-generational?
2 master bedrooms, or at least 2 large bedrooms downstairs.
Or separation. Just separation of being able to have space together but then have a little bit of separate space too.
Right.
But yes, those masters downstairs, when you can get that's great.
There's an interesting change that often you think, the financial aspect of it is you can usually purchase much more house than when you are buying a single property because you're combining the incomes, whether it's retirement income, some sort of Social Security, or anything that just expands your budget a little bit. And it's surprising to people, I think, when they sit down and look at how much they can actually afford when that purchase is being made to combine those households. One of our houses, for example, is $760,000. That is a lot of money. I wouldn't be going out just buying that house. But if I were looking to add another family member on a budget and that family member were contributing, it could be much more affordable than what I might just be looking at for myself.
Well, in that particular house, it's a very large pool house, which large enough to have your own living room, a bathroom, kitchen. I mean, that's a large
That
pool
one
house.
could have 3 generations right there.
Yeah.
You could have the kids, the college kids.
And I did have a client once
and the
that
home
had
office.
The main adults were like in their 40s. They had both sets of parents living together, and they all got along. They said, "Oh, we love each other. We get along really well." But they needed a home that's large enough to have. They needed a home that was large enough to really set in, 3 couples and a couple of kids. So yeah, they needed a large home.
Now, one question I have about that, and I wish Dan was in here to ask him, but when you're financing that, can you use multiple sources of income? Can you use the parents' income plus the...
Absolutely.
You can.
Okay.
Yes. It all has to be verified in a normal way. And so there can be some challenges if it's depending on the type of income that it is. But yeah, all of that can count. But here's another thing that should also be considered. If you see this in your future, and really, if you're in the middle of it right now, this is nothing new to you. If you're looking on the horizon thinking, Mom or Dad's getting a little older, I don't want them to go into assisted living any sooner than they have to. You can buy a number of years just by having somebody nearby. And when you start looking at these things, you consider, wait a minute, they've got I've got an inheritance coming, and that can often be utilized as part of, you're going to own the house in the passing of an older family member, and these are estate planning issues that you can talk over with a trusted advisor to make life more comfortable. And this is what our assets are all about. This is what our real estate is all about. It's not about what we're going to keep forever. It's about how can we leverage these things to make the most of our living conditions today, and especially in those retirement years. So while a younger person may be working every day, hustling to make their payments on stuff and they're acquiring, the older individual can often be saying, my house is paid for, I've lived here forever, and now we can apply that towards another purchase. And by the way, son, that's your inheritance. So don't be asking for anything else.
Yeah, it's a good idea, and people are living longer, so it's even better for this generation to think about it. And like you said, you have extra hands to help you with things in the house, extra just conversation, things that you know. So it's good fellowship. Good fellowship.
Well, before we take a break here at the bottom of the hour, the resale, the June resale of property, June 10th, 2019.
The tax sale?
9 to 4. And they're going to have a 1 hour break for lunch. I've just got the fact sheet here. We weren't able to get Dennis Simler or one of his representatives to speak with us today, but we were able to grab the fact sheet. And we get the reason this came up, we get a ton of questions. I mean, the phone just rings off the hook near the tax sale. Like, what is this? How does it work? Well, it's delinquent taxes. The treasurer is responsible for collecting the taxes that the assessor has assessed your property for. If you're not paying them, then you go delinquent, and then it gets on the list. And so if those taxes aren't paid, you go through the tax sale. Well, interesting here, you don't just do the tax sale and then suddenly you've got a property. There is a waiting period where you actually become an investor who's buying that out. And I'm summarizing, so don't take this to the bank and make all your financial plans on this one statement. But you're basically becoming an investor, paying the county what's due, and if that doesn't get paid back by the owner during that, by the property owner during that period of time between the sale and the actual deadline to pay, then you take over that property. Now, it can be risky. You need to know the background of what's going on with the property. You understand you're going to get this property, which could come with some liabilities, so you need to make sure you know what you're doing. But it's a great way. I mean, some people do this full time. They're studying the properties and looking for them. And then it's almost like the lottery at times. You find out, wow, how did you pick that one up? Well, it was just a needle in a haystack. I've seen this list. It is thick. I don't have time to mess with it. I can see why people do this, can do it almost full time.
Now, is the tax sale once a year?
It is once a year, yeah.
Once a year.
And how many months do you wait?
I don't know. I think it goes on like a year or two.
Really?
I mean, there's plenty of time for that to come back after the tax sale. And we can have, actually, we're going to talk, market experts will go and we'll talk with Mr. Simler about that and bring some more information back. But the sale is coming up June 10th, 9 to 4. You can find out from the tax assessor's office, treasurer.tulsacounty.org for the June real estate auction. And you're listening to The Future of Real Estate. We're going to come back. I'm Daryl Baskin. We'll have more right after this.
Bye, everybody.
I want to be an interpreter for sign language.
Maybe try to be a lawyer.
I would like to run like a little cafe.
Junior Achievement gives young people the skills they need to own their economic success, plan for their future, and make smart academic choices. Our volunteers help students with financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship.
And it's really helping me understand how it's going to be in the future.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
In fact, this is a very large store.
Yeah, I'm going to get out and just walk around today.
I can't believe rain is coming our way again.
I'd like to rent a bicycle, but now that Riverside is so messed up, you can rent one down on Riverside.
Enjoy your Saturday. More Daryl Baskin coming up next. Future of Real Estate here on Tulsa's 24
Okay, now I've got to get houses
KRMG. Avoid traffic slowdowns, construction delays, and road closures. Download the KRMG app. Powered by Verizon Subaru of Broken
I can't have a man like I just want to baby.
advisories to help keep you out of traffic jams. And remember, when you're in your car, hear Tulsa's team of traffic experts every 6 minutes on the KRMG
I'm
Morning
excited about our market experts. On Thursday, that's going to be a really good one.
Yeah. So it'll be downtown again. 9-11 right now.
News 102.3 and AM 740 KRMG.
I need to call them. I need to remember to call them Monday to remind them.
Every 6 minutes.
For your drive to work.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I kind of miss seeing houses there a little bit. And I wouldn't want to see them every other week, but I'd like to
Okay,
see
so what
them.
do we got here?
Well,
So, wait a minute. Pamela, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about buy your new house or sell your old one first.
All right.
So contingencies.
One address, thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com. I'm Daryl Baskin. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. Today's program brought to you by Integrity Title, TTCU Federal Credit Union, the Baskin Real Estate Specialists, and Window World of Tulsa. 5725 East 97th Place has a brand new price on it.
ooh, what's the price? What's the price? Drum roll.
$239,900. $239,900.
That's a good price.
And by the way, 2 second showings. This is how you kind of start. You know, it's just the basics of supply and demand. And a house can be in any price range and any market. And if it's the best choice of what's there, it will draw the offers. Now, how quickly they're selling, how just in the market, like if there are 100 houses and they're only selling it one a month, that's the absorption rate. If that's what's happening, then only one of those is going to be taken in each month, and obviously you have to be the very best one. There are other parts of the market where there are 10 houses and 5 selling a month. Okay, well, there's a lot of room for error there. And it depends on where you are as to what your perspective or perception is of whether the market's good or not. But here's something important as a buyer. The best house, the best deals, the best value in the market, even when the market is slow, is going to be the next on the list for any number of buyers that are there. So it can be a little confusing, and it takes a lot of individual analysis with the neighborhood, with the price range, with the metro area, with all of these different features. When you stack them up, you start to get a picture of where a house should be on the price. Now, it has nothing to do with this one, except we made a price change. And with that price change came people saying, oh, I want to come back and look at this one again. And that's where you start to see, now we're in the right part of the market. $239,900, 2,682 square feet, 4 bedrooms. This is one of those that I'd mentioned. Multi-generational.
Yes.
It has a bathroom downstairs, which makes it's attached to the bedroom, so it'd make a great
That's
master.
a very large yard too. I mean, you could do a lot with that. You could put a pool in. You got room for kids to play. I mean, it's a nice
That's what's
area.
good about Sun Meadow. Very good. And this has the master upstairs option upstairs also. And you can find it at homeguidetulsa.com. Now, I think we should go ahead and talk about what do you do? You sell first or do you buy first?
That's right. And you know, this process can happen simultaneously, but you better be prepared. It's not a time that you want to make it a good thing for the seller as well as the buyer. And it's not the time to bring in your low offer if you're going to have to set up a contingency.
So,
That's very true.
I'm stuttering because I don't really know how to get into this conversation and really make it engaging for our listener, because it's a whole bunch of what ifs and what do I do first, and it's confusing. It's really confusing. As a matter of fact, as a real estate agent, it's one of the conversations I really am reluctant to get started on because it takes so long to explain. Because it's like a chess game, but you're playing 3 chess games at the same time. And the outcome of one is dependent on the other.
Well, that's true, because when you set up a contingency, the seller can keep showing that house even though you have a contingency offer and agreement on it. It's just that if they get another buyer, the person who has a contingency gets the first chance. They get 48 hours to decide, figure out if they can come up with the money
Well,
without
and you say
something.
48 hours, but that can be negotiated. And the boilerplate template that we would use that comes from either the state or the association, one or the other. Look at that fine little print down at the bottom. It's at 24 hours. So that can all vary. You can negotiate a week if you want.
That's right. That's the thing too. But you do want to set up the parameters. But just keep in mind, if you need to sell your house first, you can go ahead and make an offer. But one thing, you better have your house on the market when you make that offer. And I had a client call me one time who said, "Okay, I found the house I love. I'm going to have to put a contingency. Can you come list my house immediately? Because I want to make an offer and want to say I've got my house listed." So we listed his house that day and made the offer that night.
Yeah, you've got a pretty unmotivated home seller if they're interested in taking their house off the market or entering into a contract with someone who says they're going to buy their house but doesn't even have it on the market yet. There's a good week's worth of work to really get a house prepared and on the market, even if it's as simple as taking the photographs. Sure, you can throw some cheap photographs off your iPhone up there, and actually some of those can look pretty decent, but you want to get some good wide angle photographs like we do. You want to do a three-dimensional tour so that when people get the information for the first time, they get all the information, enough to make a decision. Sometimes buyers want to make a decision, but you're not providing them enough data and enough information, and that's a key role for your realtor, is to be organized and prepared and to put it all out there at one time so that they see it and they say, yeah, I want this.
Well, and a lot of sellers will consider contingency, so it is something you can do. But again, you want to motivate the seller. So you need to have your house on the market. You also need to, like I said, make a decent offer. Don't do the low ball if you're going to have a contingency. And there are some things you have to put in the contract to be very clear, like how long is it going to go? And but I have had several offers and several clients who are able to do a contingency and sell their house quickly because they're motivated to sell their house fast, so they do everything they need to do to get the house sold. And so you can often do that. You can do it together.
Let's talk about some of the mechanics of this. So you receive an offer. You're a home seller, and you receive an offer. Expect your realtor doing for you, because some don't really know that. I mean, let's run maybe half a check.
Well, you want to make the house the offer, and they have the house to sell. That they're going to be asking, you're going to look at the kind of house it is and the market level, the price that they're setting it at. How long do those houses generally take? If they're selling a $600,000 house, it generally takes 6 months or so to sell. You can maybe have a second thoughts about making that kind of commitment.
Yes, you have to know if they're going to price strategically to where they get their house sold fast enough.
That's right. And what kind of quality is that house in?
You might want to
look at the quality of that house they're selling.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you all. I'm just laughing at this thought of how many times have we received a contingency offer that they've lowballed. So, I'll make something up. It's $500,000 and they've come in at $425,000. Well, and then we investigate a little bit about, okay, tell us about what house you're selling. And they're selling a $250,000 house that they're pricing at $275,000. And they're like, okay, wait a minute, you want to lowball mine, and you want me to take mine, put mine in a situation where I'm waiting for you to make some kind of move, and you want to overprice yours? That doesn't make sense. That's unreasonable. Right. Show yourself to be reasonable.
Right. So you really need to think about how do you present it to the seller.
Now, and here's the other thing, to really think of this as a package, and it's what complicates it so much. What if you are what if the seller of that $500,000 house, what if they agreed to $425,000? What if they did? If your $250,000 house is really worth $250,000, don't be stupid. Put it on the market for $225,000, get that thing sold, and get a great deal on what you're buying. Because ultimately, you're coming out $50,000 ahead.
Well,
it is a package.
That's exactly what happened with one of my clients. They found a house they wanted. They were ready to make an offer. They called me and they said, make an offer. But I said, put your house on the market first. So we put the house on the market immediately. They looked at what was selling in this neighborhood and they made a little lower. And we got 2 or 3 offers within days because they knew what was in their area and they priced it lower. So they were able to sell that house and get the house that they wanted and needed.
Talking
They
about
need a
pricing.
bigger house.
Let's talk about pricing for just a minute, because this is what trips people up all the time when they're selling their house. They look at the other houses that are on the market and they go, okay, well, mine's a little better, or whatever. They put it up at a price that's a little bit higher, and it's a competitive price, but it's really not compelling. Let's talk. Compelling is, I've looked at 10 houses that are the best fit for me. Yours is one of them, and your price is a little bit better than all of the others that I've looked at. I'm now, instead of, okay, well, I'm going to shop around some more, I'm going to give some consideration to all of my different options, I'm leaving your house after I looked at it, and I'm thinking, I hope nobody else is making an offer on this.
Exactly.
Now I am compelled to make an offer on yours and make a good one, because my second choice stinks. And home sellers are often very reluctant to want to go there because they feel like, okay, I don't have any room for negotiation. Well, guess what? You don't need room for negotiation if you're the absolute best buy on the market. And let me give you a consideration. Oh, okay, we were talking about my stinky shirt at the auction. I've got to tell a story. I'm going to the auction, and I've got this head cold. I can't smell anything. I grab an absolute fresh, clean shirt right out of the drawer. Put it on, going in. And like halfway through, I'm like, it's a little bit of work at the auction. I was sweating on just a little bit. Halfway through, I'm like, gosh, somebody stinks. And so I'm walking around, so they're following me. And I get home and I'm like, okay, the laundry soured, and I'm wearing this stinky shirt. And my daughter says, yeah, Dad, you did smell, but I didn't want to hurt your feelings and tell you that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been going all morning with this smelly shirt. Okay, anyway, here's why I like to go to the auction. Because it's a buying process, it's a selling process, and it's understanding supply and demand, and the same thing applies in real estate. Now, I'm not for a moment going to concede that auction is the best way to sell on real estate, because I think you get a better price when you go longer term, looking at the entire market, and consolidating, squeezing that time down. Not how many people show up one particular day to make a decision. That's fine if you want an absolute final date, walk away, nothing else. But if you apply some of the principles of an auction, not all, not the time frame part of it, not all of the time frame part of it, but the pricing aspect of it, and you realize when you think of the auction process while you're using traditional sales of real estate, if you mesh those two together, you're the house that sells in 3 or 4 days or a week that everybody's talking about. You're not the one that sits on the market for a year. And that's the challenge. I don't even call it a problem. It's a challenge of the mentality of putting your house on the market, thinking, okay, well, I've got time. Well, you may run out of time, by the way. And getting the very best price can be going on the market at a competitive price, thinking you're leaving a little bit of money on the table, and guess what? Sometimes you're getting multiple offers at higher than list price.
That's right.
And this really, really happens. I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to sell you on anything right now, other than the fact that pricing is data-driven, it's market-driven, it's supply and demand, and even if you underpriced it, such as putting a house on the market, on the auction block, it's a $200,000 house, and you put it on the market, opening bids, $20,000. You know how many people are going to show up? A whole bunch of people. Why? There's the dream of getting it for $20,000. Well, what if you had a $200,000 house and you put it on the market for $175,000? Well, these buyers who are all shopping, they're going to look around. You end up with multiple offers, and when they realize their next best choice is the overpriced house at $210,000, you're going to get a higher than $175,000 offer. This happens all the time, and corporate sellers know it. That's why HUD, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, etc., they have standard forms that say, we've got multiple offers, send us your highest and best. All right. Have I said enough about pricing?
Well, you're right. Making it compelling. If you need to sell your house quickly, make it compelling. If you're like, I don't mind waiting 6 months, then, put out there what you want. But if you can make your offer compelling.
But at the end of 6 months, there's nothing compelling about, okay, now I'm serious, I'm going to drop my price. And what does a buyer see? It's been on the market for 6 months.
Yeah.
You've just hurt yourself more than you've helped yourself.
But I have a question for you. Do they actually sell houses at an auction to people with stinky shirts?
I didn't buy a house, but I bought a bunch of stuff for the Airbnbs. So I think I need to open a new Airbnb property so I can satisfy my auction habit. Yeah, Brandon Auction knows all about that. All right, well, you're listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. Find us on Facebook, Facebook Live, at each of the programs, the Baskin Real Estate Specialists, and schedule an appointment. Let's schedule a phone call. We give a lot of general information, a lot of specific information here, but your situation is different. It's unique. AskinForBaskin.com, AskinForBaskin.com. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate. I'm Daryl Baskin. Why you shouldn't like your realtor? That's the topic right after this.
You're listening to The Future of Real Estate.
I like that. Hey, wait a minute. For everybody on Facebook, there's Greer. He's the one running the show. And that's his voice. He gets $1 every time that plays. Just saying. He licensed it. He wouldn't sell it to me. He wanted to license it. All right.
Smart
Let's some
kid.
commercials. We'll come back in a minute.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
She designed the dress, but can she budget for her future?
I'm not ready yet, but I want to be.
Help her get 100% ready.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
From Window World of Tidewater,
We're the Reeds, and for nearly 2 decades,
And a few generations.
we've been transforming your houses to dream homes right here in Hampton Roads. Join us for a seamless remodeling experience.
Call for a free estimate.
Customer. You're the buyer, you're the seller. You can choose. And if you're a real estate professional and you're looking to provide a great experience for your buyer or seller, look them up. Get to know them
called
at
GTAR, full
Integrity Title
disclosure,
and
right?
Closings.
Yep.
918-749-9130.
The KRMG app.
It is not coming up in my search.
Well, hold on. This last one from April
It's a problem if you're
is
someone
Greater.
in
Just
recovery
search
and
GTAR. Greater Tulsa Association of Realtors. April stats out was the subject. April stats out.
Weather and traffic. It's like it follows me around everywhere I go. News 102.3 KRMG.
If it's important to Tulsa,
Lane changes coming on the interdispersal loop downtown.
The south leg of the downtown loop is backwards. Westbound lanes
I
are
like
now
this
open. Eastbound
background
lanes
music.
are closed.
you'll hear it on KRMG.
This is a complete reconstruction of the pavement, tearing everything from
feels
the
very
ground and
Oklahoman.
replacing it.
Wow.
This is where Tulsa turns first.
News 102.3 KRMG. Listen on air on KRMG.com and the KRMG
Active inventory.
Are you going to talk about Wynwood? You haven't talked about it.
One
for 2
address,
weeks.
thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com. I'm Daryl Baskin of the Baskin Real Estate Specialists at eXp Realty. Listen, today's program, by the way, brought to you by Integrity Title and Abstract, TTCU Federal Credit Union, Window World of Tulsa, and the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. April stats, we'll be getting June here in a couple of weeks, but we did not talk about how April ended and how we've been doing for the year. It's pretty incredible. I mean, it's the same thing over and over again. I feel like I'm just the same broken record, but talk about that here in just a second. I don't know what to do next. There's a bunch of things flooded my mind.
Well, you said you were going to talk about why people shouldn't like their realtor. I'm really interested in.
Was that a good hook?
And that does not include realtors who wear stinky shirts.
What?
So we've got.
If I ever show up with I always have an extra shirt in my truck, and that's what really I told my daughter. I said, "Sweetheart, you can save me all the embarrassment. Just hurt my feelings. Just tell me, Dad, you have a stinky shirt."
Say, believe me, I would tell you.
Yeah,
she knows Dad would tell her.
Real friends will do that. You know, of course, family members, kids, they can be like, "Oh, am I going to get in trouble?" Here, active inventory. I want to talk about active inventory for a minute.
Well, first, I just want to say something about May. We've had so much rain that has slowed down a lot because people don't want to go out and shop when in the middle of thunderstorms or just downpours that we've been having.
That's a good point, and I've been showing and have been writing contracts, but it slows us down actually because we're taking shoes off. It's like, today I've got to clean this up, because it's the only day that's not raining that I can actually do something, and so it does impede. But a reminder: every single time we have bad weather, and it doesn't matter whether it's winter bad weather or summer bad weather, but every time that happens, people's housing needs don't change. I mean, unless they've been flooded out, that's an extraordinary circumstance. But your housing needs don't change. You're still going to shop for a house, but it's like, okay, I couldn't make it to Costco today, so I had to come back, the next day. I just postponed it. It didn't mean that because I didn't make it to Costco today that I don't need milk anymore. So housing is the same way. You're just going to see the spike in activity happen. Usually not the first good weekend. The first good weekend after bad weather, people are doing what? They're catching up on all the things they're
at the park.
Have to do. Well, and maybe that's it. Maybe the kids just need to get out of the house. Whatever it is, they're catching up on some of those things. Then they get back in their normal routine. They go out. I fully expect with this decline, just like you said, Pamela, with this decline in May, a little bit of activity decline, it's going to pick back up. But here's the other great thing. There's normally a decline when school lets out and right when school picks up. The good thing is these happened simultaneously. So I think it's going to relatively, in seasonal comparison, in annual comparison over previous years, it's not going to have a huge impact on those numbers. Speaking of those numbers, end of April 2019, active inventory. Now, this is just comparing this year to a previous year. Active inventory, that's houses for sale, 5,899. Okay, that number means nothing to you, right?
That is 26%
Oh, you're
lower.
looking at the same thing.
Yes, that is 26% lower than last year.
This is almost scary.
And
because
if you even think about the flooding and the housing problems that could cause, that can just compound it too, but it is.
Last year, there were 8,024 at the same time period, year to date. And 5,899, that is a big, big drop. I fully expect that to kind of balance out a little bit. It's important while we see these go down, it's very important to also remember that we need housing inventory to keep a balance. I have friends who have been selling in very, very hot markets, Las Vegas, parts of California, that they literally end up with 10 to 20 offers on a property when it comes up. That is not a good situation. It's nice to have multiple offers sometimes, but you don't want crazy like that. Trust me, I've watched it. It's very difficult both for buyer and seller.
I've watched that in San Diego for years. That's a big problem in San Diego. I have a lot of friends in San Diego, lived there for a lot of years. But yeah, it's a real problem. People, especially people who need their first house and they have that lower entry.
Yep.
Oh, they say, well, we can't ever get in. We make all these offers and they can't get in.
So affordable housing is important for everyone, regardless of the spectrum that you're in. And available housing is important. And one of those examples is we have these flood issues, just like commercial real estate. Businesses can't move around if there's not vacant space for them to prepare, do the remodeling, et cetera, to move into. They can't shut their business down and go move into a hotel in the interim. Well, with housing, you have to have available inventory that's there. So there's a healthy balance to what this is, and it's important to watch. We'll have some more of these stats as we come up, and we'll bring some stuff in May for you here. If you need to sell your house, if you're considering it and you want to make a strategic plan, askinforbaskin.com. I'll get you connected with either myself or one of our associates here that you hear on a regular basis. askinforbaskin.com, ASKINFORBASKIN. And that's a calendar online. You can actually schedule a phone call. You can schedule a meeting, and we'll sit down and talk to you about the best strategy. One of the things we like to do is actually educate you so you can make the right decision, because we know, and this is an inherent philosophy with what we do at the Baskin Real Estate Specialists, we know when you're informed, we will shine, and you'll want to do business with us most of the time. So that's it. We don't do a lot of selling. Truthfully, we don't. I actually have to go back and rethink through some of these things that we talk about. It's like, wait a minute, there are a lot of reasons that you would want to use this, but nobody cares by that point. I was like, we like you, and that's what we want, and I really mean that. Now, but now here's the other side. What's the hook? You don't have to like your realtor, and this is really important. When people hire someone just because they like them, now you can like them, but you don't need to like them. You don't have to like them. You're going to work with them for a period of time, so you need to be able to get along, obviously. But you're hiring someone to go into the big bad world of real estate and deal with all of these personalities, to take your emotional side of this. It's almost like hiring, you don't represent yourself in court, right? Even attorneys don't represent themselves in court. They hire someone else who's thinking unemotionally, to think through a process and to be a sounding board, almost like a coach. When you hire a realtor, if you hire someone who's just like you because you want to talk to someone through the whole process who's just like you may be missing out on the most important part of the negotiation strategy, on the sounding board of what is the best thing for me, because you've already got your side of it covered. You know what you think.
Well, you need to have your realtor tell you the truth, not what you want to hear, but what's really truthful and helpful to you.
Give them that license. All right, you're listening to The Future of Real Estate. You can find it back online at Facebook and Facebook Live, the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. Remember, askinforbaskin.com or Home Guide Tulsa to find your next house. We'll see you next week.
Oh, can we say bye now?
Oh.
Bye now.
Say bye.
Bye now.
Okay. Thanks for grabbing those stats real quick.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, you did a good job because it sounded so natural. Like, oh, yeah.
Thank you to Facebook World. Listen, the podcast, you can subscribe to that. We're on TuneIn, and you can also find us on krmg.com with the weekend shows. So thanks for watching.
Live team coverage of Tulsa's news starts now.